stand for?
Border Gateway Protocol.
Border Gateway Protocol. Border Gateway Protocol. It is an open standard protocol. Let me write some point about BGP first, then we will discuss all points one by one. It is an open standard routing protocol. Open standard routing protocol. Then after that, okay, if it is an application layer protocols, then definitely a transport layer it will use one protocol. Either it will use TCP or UDP. So BGP uses TCP protocol at transport layer. It uses TCP at transport layer. After that, if it is uses TCP, then definitely this protocol will have one port number. Yes or no?
Yeah.
So port number.
179.
Yes, port number is 179. Port number is 179. It is an path vector routing protocol. Vector routing protocol. What do you mean by path vector? What is the meaning of it, guys? What is the meaning of path vector routing protocol? Path vector routing protocol means, let me write here, router sends path attribute. Path attributes in update. If I will talk about EIGRP, so EIGRP uses what for the metric calculation? By default, EIGRP uses bandwidth and delay. Yes or no? Formula is 10 raised to power 10 upon least bandwidth plus total delay upon 10 whole multiplied by 256. Yes or no? So in the update message, EIGRP share K values with prefix in the update message. Yes or no? EIGRP routers here K values in update message with prefix. Let's say a router is sending one update message, and in that update message it is sending 10.1.1.0/24 network. So along with the network, router will send K1 and K3 by all K values, and router will use K1 and K3 for the metric calculation. Router will send all K values in the update along with the prefix. Am I right? By default, BGP does not support load balancing. Load balancing means by default BGP can install max to max one path in their routing table. Okay, tell me, OSPF router can install how many paths by default in their routing table? OSPF can install how many paths in their routing table by default? Let's say I have this router. Let me start the router and let me check the IP configuration. By default, OSPF support 4 paths. It can install, OSPF router can install 4 paths in their routing table by default. So IP interface brief exclude unassign. So I have already configured the IP address here. So IP protocol, let me check, is there any routing protocol running? No. And if I will run command router OSPF 1, that's it. And so IP protocol. So you can see maximum path that this router can install is 4. But if I will talk about the BGP, so BGP, by default BGP install only one path in their routing table. That means BGP does not support load balancing. We can achieve load balancing in BGP also, but I am talking about the by default. Say no router OSPF process 1. I have disabled, I have removed the OSPF configuration from this router again. Okay, so by default BGP does not support load balancing. In case of IGP, it supports load balancing by default. Okay, this point is very important, that it is a path vector routing protocol. In case of IGP protocol, let me design one topology here. Here let's say I have 2 router R1, no 2 router, let's say 3 router I have. I2 and R3. Let's say this is my R1, this is R2, and this is R3. Let's say R2 and R3 have one same network, that is 10.1.1.0/24. Here also, and router 3, on router number 3 also, let's say I have created one loopback. On that loopback I am running this network on both router, on router 2 and on router number 3. Guys, if I will configure IGP protocol here, so this is also fast Ethernet link between router 1 and router 2, and between router 2 and router 3 also fast Ethernet link. So this router will install both path in their routing table. It will perform load balancing. R1 will perform load balancing. If I will configure IGP protocol, R1 will select best path on the basis of matrix. So matrix will be same from both sides, and it will perform load balancing. But if I will talk about the BGP or the path vector routing protocol, if I will talk about the path vector routing protocol, so path vector routing protocol share the information of path with prefix like next hop IP address, like AS number, like local preference. So these are what, these are path attribute. And if I will configure BGP in this network, so router 1 will install only one path for 10.1.1.0/24 network. So if I will ask you that which path is best for R1 to reach in 10.1.1.0/24 network, what will be your answer? From if you will compare in IGP protocol, so from both side AD value and matrix will be same. Let's say I am using OSPF routing protocol here in this domain, OSPF. So AD value and matrix from both sides will be same on router number 1. So router will perform what? Router 1 will perform what? Load balancing. But if I will configure BGP, so as you know, BGP is a path vector routing protocol. By default, it does not support load balancing. So it will install only one path. We will see which path router 1 will install in their routing table. Done? Is it clear? But by default, it does not support load balancing. It will install only one path. Okay, and path vector routing protocol share the information of path with prefix. Best path selection is done on the basis of path attribute in BGP. Let me write this point also here, that best path selection is done with path attribute. attributes. We have multiple types of path attribute. We will discuss that. Okay. Path attribute is the best path selection criteria in BGP. Okay. After that, it is also an classless protocol. It is an classless routing protocol. What do you mean by classless routing protocol?
Support subnetting.
Yes, it supports subnetting, and by default, automatic auto summary is disabled in case of BGP, and it supports maximum one path. So maximum path okay, we have already mentioned this point that BGP does not support load balancing by default. It uses TCP port number 170. It is an application layer protocol. It is a completely reliable protocol. It is an completely reliable protocol. We will see what is the meaning of it. Anything else apart from these points, guys, about BGP? If anyone have idea that we are missing here, anything else? Okay, now let me discuss the basic concept of BGP between two router first. Let's say I have router 1 here and router 2 here, R1, R2. R1, R2. Here IP address is, let's say, 12.1.1.1. Here IP address, let's say, 12.1.1.2. This is my fast Ethernet 0/0, and this is also F0/0 of router 2. F0/0 of router 2. Once you will configure BGP on router 1, router 1 will send which message? Okay, when I will configure OSPF on router number 1, let me run some command on router 1, guys. Here I am running command router OSPF 1 and then network 12.1.1.0, 0.0.255 and area 0. After running this command on router number 1, what router 1 will do? First of all, fast Ethernet 0/0 will join a multicast group, and then it will start sending one hello message from here, from fast Ethernet 0/0. Am I right?
Yes, sir.
What is the purpose of hello message?
Form the neighborship.
Form the neighborship and keep alive.
That.
There are two use of hello message. First one is to discover the neighbor, and second use is keep alive. But in case of BGP, we have divided that hello message into two parts, into two messages. Here we have first message is called open message, and second message is keep alive message. Keep alive. Purpose of open message is to discover the neighbor or to form the neighbor, and keep alive is similar like to checking the neighbor is alive or not. Getting my point? So here we have two separate messages, to discover neighbor and for keep alive. In IGP protocol, we have single message for the both purpose, to discover neighbor and to keep alive. But here we have separate message. One is open message and another one is keep alive message. Open message is used to discover the neighbor, and keep alive message is to check the neighbor is alive or not. Router will send only once open message. Once never will discover, then it will not send any open message. It will send keep alive message. So keep alive message is here periodic, and open message is not a periodic message. In case of OSPF, hello message is periodic or not?
Periodic.
Yes, open message is periodic message, because first the purpose of first hello message to discover neighbor. After discovering the neighbor, routers are sending hello message for the keep alive. So here you can see we have one separate message for keep alive. So why we will use send open message again and again? So router will send open message only once. So when I will enable BGP on fast Ethernet 0/0 of router number 1, it will send one open message to router 2. It will send which message? Open message. On what address? BGP does not support dynamic neighborship. BGP does not support dynamic neighborship. Let me mention this point here also. BGP does not support dynamic neighborship. So here in case of BGP, we will configure a static neighborship always. So it will send open message on unicast address. This is the first open message. Router 1 will generate this open message at which layer? It is an application layer protocol, so definitely it will generate open message at application layer. Yes or no? Router 1 will encapsulate one open message at application layer. Open message at application layer. After that, it will hand over to transport layer. Transport layer will add what? Source port and destination port. Source port as well as destination port. What will be the source port? What will be the source port? Source port and destination port both will be what? 179. 179 will be source port and 179 will be destination port. And then it will hand over to next layer, network layer. Network layer will add IP header. In IP header, source IP address will be 12.1.1.1 and destination IP will be 12.1.1.2. Whatever IP you will configure, actually here you will define the neighbor IP address is 12.1.1.2. So that will be the neighbor IP address. After that, next layer, data link layer, source MAC will be the MAC address of this interface, destination MAC will be the MAC address of fast Ethernet 0/0 of router 2. And then it will send to router number 2. Guys, in this open message, there will be one sequence number as well. So let's say here sequence number is 1. Here sequence number is what? 1. This message will be sent by router 1 to router 2. Here sequence number will be 1. Sequence number. Once router 2 will receive this open message, as I here mentioned that BGP is a completely reliable protocol. So router 2 will send one acknowledgement. Router 1 will send one acknowledgement message. In the acknowledgement message, sequence number will be again 1 and acknowledgement number will be also what? 1. Acknowledgement will be 1 and sequence number will be 1. This is the sequence number of router 2. Means router 2 is also what it is actually. it is the open message of BGP. But do you think router will send open message directly? No, because all TCP based protocol first build logical connection. Yes or no? It established a logical connection with the help of three-way handshake. Am I right? So this process will happen after stabilizing a logical connection, a TCP connection between router 1 and router 2. So let's say this is not open message, this is SYN message. SYN message, after that router 2 will send SYN plus ACK, and then router 1 will send what? Acknowledgement. Here we don't have here any BGP message. This is TCP connection. It will send what? Acknowledgement. On what acknowledgement number? What will be the acknowledgement number here? Yes, Suresh? This is TCP connection. Router 1 have sent SYN message, router 2 have sent SYN plus ACK, and router 1 is giving now acknowledgement. So router 1 will give acknowledgement on what acknowledgement number?
1, sir.
1. Now this is, now between router 1 and router 2, TCP connection has been stabilized. TCP connection. And after TCP connection, routers are going to exchange what? Open message. Okay. So between router 1 and router 2, one router will use port number 172, 179, and one router will use any other port number. Let me make you understand here. I am going to turn on router number 2 also, and between router 1 and router 2, I am going to capture the link. Fast Ethernet 0/0, let me capture this link. Here I have capturing, and router 1, router, let me access router 2 also. Let me check the IP address. Enable show IP interface brief, exclude unassign. Show IP interface brief, exclude unassign. Here also I have configured the IP address on Fast Ethernet 0/0. Let me say interface F0/1 or 1/0. No IP address. Interface F1/0. No IP address. Say shutdown, and show IP interface brief, exclude unassign. Now you can see only this interface have IP address. On router number 1 also, let me check. Show IP interface brief, exclude unassign. So this router have one loopback 1.1.1. okay, leave. 12.1.1.1 is the IP address. Let me ping 12.1.1.2. I am able to ping. Okay, and I have capturing here. Okay, now I am going to configure BGP. First on router number 1, router BGP, let's say AS number 100, that's it, and neighbor 12.1.1.2 whose remote AS is, let's say 100. Done. Now after running this command, this router will start sending which message? Which message router 1 should start sending, guys? SYN message, yes or no? It is sending SYN message. Yes. Source port number is random. Destination port number is 179. source port number is random port number in the SYN message. This is not open message, this is SYN message. So here let me correct the source port number. Source port number will be random port number 1025. Source port number is random port number and destination port is well known, that is 179. And router 2 is sending reset because BGP is not enabled on router number 2. So you can see there is no TCP connection between router 1 and router 2. Why? Because router 1 is sending the SYN message, but router 2 is sending reset message. Because this service 179 service is not enabled on router number 2. So TCP and what we can say brief. So you can see there is no any TCP connection in the TCP table. Okay. Router 1 is sending SYN message again and again, but router 2 is sending the reset message. Now I am going to enable BGP on router number 2 also. Router BGP 100 and say neighbor 12.1.1.1 whose remote AS is 100. That's it. Now you can see router 2 will send what? Wait for the next SYN message. See the SYN message of router 1. Router 1 have sent the SYN message first, then router 2 have sent SYN plus ACK, and then router 1 have sent SYN acknowledgement message. Okay. Now by seeing these three messages, can anyone tell me which router is using port number 179? By checking these three messages, guys, which router? R2 is using, yes, very good. R2 is using port number 179 and R1 has started using port number 48589, right? And on router number 1 you can verify it. So and BGP neighborship is also you can see up. So TCP brief. It's taking some time. See, there is one logical connection, and who is using port number 179 12.1.1.2, and what is the port number of 12.1.1.1? 48589, and state is stabilized. State is stabilized. Getting my point? Is it clear to everyone? Both router have built one logical connection with the help of three-way handshake. In the SYN message which router 1 have sent to router 2, you can see source port number is random port number, destination port number is 179, and in the SYN plus ACK which router 2 is sending to router 1, source port number is 179, destination port number is random, means 48589, and the sequence number will be 0 here and acknowledgement number is 1. Okay. So what I am saying, here I have router 1. Let me open EPIC as well, or let me explain it in Pent. First router 1 have sent the SYN message where source port number and destination port, source port number is 48589, destination port is 179, source IP is 12.1.1.1, destination IP is 12.1.1.2. you can see here both are unicast, right? And the sequence number is 0. Sequence number is 0. After that router 2 have sent SYN plus ACK, sequence number is 0 here also. Is text visible?
Yes.
And acknowledgement number will be 1, source port number will be 179, destination port will be 48589, right? And then router 1 have sent the acknowledgement on acknowledgement number 1. Acknowledgement number 1, source port number is 48589, destination port is 179, right? So router 2 have started using port number 179 and router 1 have started using port number 48589. Now whatever BGP message router 1 will send to router 2, destination port will be every time 179, and whenever router 2 will send any BGP message to router 1, source port number will be 179, destination port will be this one. Okay, is it clear to everyone? And now you can see routers are sending what? Keep alive message only. This is the open message. Only one time router have sent this open message. After that it is sending keep alive message. It is again sending keep alive message, keep alive message. It is sending the keep alive message only. Getting my point? Clear guys? In the open message also you can see where is open message. Here it is. In the open message 12.1 is sending this open message to 12.2. Source port number and destination port number you can see. Now this port number is reserved for R1 for 12.1.1.1 and the 179 is reserved for 12.1.1.2. Okay. Is it clear? How two routers become neighbor in BGP? Definitely with the help of open message, but before sending open message it will send, it will for three-way handshake. Done? Is it okay?
Yes, sir.
And after that, see, these three process will happen between router just to build logical connection. After that, router 1 will send the open message, then router 2 will also send the open message, then both router will form neighborship, and after becoming neighborship we will see the next type of message in BGP. What message router will? The update message which router will use to share network information. Okay, now here on router number 1 this is one command to troubleshoot. If TCP connection is not forming between router 1 and router 2, we can troubleshoot by using this command that TCP connection is stabilized or not. After that we can run show IP BGP neighbor. This command, or we can run show IP BGP summary to check neighbor. Who is neighbor? 12.1.1.2. 12.1.1.2 is the neighbor of router 1. 12.1.1.2. This is the version of BGP version 4. After that the AS number which my neighbor is using 100. Then message received. How many messages this router have received from this neighbor is 10. How many messages this router have sent to this neighbor is 11. And we will discuss about the other things as well, right, in upcoming days. Okay, then we have two types of AD value in case of BGP. We have two types of AD value. One is
Interior.
yes, There are two types of neighborship, you can say, in BGP: internal and external. So we have AD value, two AD value in case of BGP. AD value equals 20 and 200. 24
EBG.
24 eBGP for external. External means not external routing domain. We will understand internal, external as well. And 200 for internal. For internal. Let's say I have two router 1 and router 2. R1, R2. Here I am using AS number, let's say 10. Here I am using AS number 20. Here I am using AS number 10. And here I am using AS number again 10. Okay, so here guys, you can see on router number 1 I am running AS number 10. On router number 2 I am using AS number 20. So here BGP will form which type of neighborship? External neighborship. External. So meaning of internal and external is different from IGP protocol. If we are configuring BGP between two different AS number, so BGP neighborship type is external. External. And here in this domain, if I will configure BGP, so this type of BGP configuration is internal. Fine. Okay, so let's say router 2 have one network that is 10.1.1.0/24. So router 2 will advertise to router 1 and router 1 will install this network 10.1.1.0/24 with what AD value? Router 1 will 20. Exactly. And let's say again router 2 have one network 10.1.1.0/24. This time router 1 will install this network. Router 1 will install this network with what AD value?
200.
200. Because now router 1 is learning a network from their internal neighbor. In upper scenario, router 1 is learning network from their external neighbor. Okay, so neighborship between router 1 and router 2 over here is eBGP, eBGP, and the neighborship in this scenario, in lower scenario, is IBGP. Is it okay? In upper scenario, router 2 is external neighbor of router 1. In lower scenario, router 2 is internal neighbor of R1. And always keep in mind, BGP sends their message as unicast, not as multicast. There is no concept of multicast guys like IGP protocol. That's why here I have defined the neighborship as well statically. I manually tell to router 1 that your neighbor is 12.1.1.2. There is no dynamic neighborship. BGP does not support dynamic neighborship. On router number 1, you have to tell your neighbor is 12.1.1.2. On router number 2, you will tell your neighbor is 12.1.1.1. Fine. Okay. So till here, if anyone have any doubt, any confusion, please ask me, guys. Otherwise, let me know. I will move. Now we are going to understand where I need to use BGP. Just I have give you some overview of BGP, that how BGP are going to build TCP connection first. How we can check it? By running command show TCP brief between router 1 and router 2. Among router 1 and router 2, one router will use port number 179 and one router will use any random port number. After that, it will exchange the open message to form neighborship, and then maybe it will send update message or other message. Okay. Now you tell me, can anyone tell me the scenario where I need to use BGP? Topic is where we use, I think battery of my keyboard is down. BGP. Where I need to use BGP? First, when our network is large enterprise. Okay. When our network is very large enterprise, then we need to use BGP protocol. Now, can anyone tell me why? In large network, why I should use BGP? Enterprise, sorry. In large network, why we need to use BGP? Because you know, IGP protocol, let me write here, IGP protocols, generally IGP protocols can handle up to 1000 prefixes in their routing table. I'm not saying exact 1000 number, right? Approx. IGP protocol can handle up to 1000 prefixes in their routing table. So if I have a network where we have more than 1000 prefixes, I cannot use IGP protocol. So this is the first scenario where I need to use BGP when our network is large enterprise network. Okay, this is fine, and this is the common answer. Any other answer? When we are service provider, when we are service provider, we will discuss practically as well in service provider how we will configure BGP. When we are service provider, then also we will use routing protocol BGP. When we are service provider, after that, between two service provider as well, service provider, between two service providers, we will use BGP. Let's say I have network like this. This is one service provider. Inside this service provider, there are some routers. Okay, let's say this is ISP1. one ISP, SP1, and in the same way I have one more ISP here, or maybe in different location here. This is, let's say, ISP2. Now you want to connect ISP1 and ISP2 together. You want to connect ISP1 and ISP2 together, then also you need to use BGP only. Between ISP1 and ISP2 you will use which protocol? BGP. BGP. Okay, any other scenario? Here we cannot configure default route, guys. If you are thinking that on this router I will configure one default route towards ISP2, on ISP2 router I will configure one default route towards ISP1. No. Here in this scenario, definitely we will use BGP protocol when we are connecting to service provider or to internet service provider network. And the main scenario where we need to use BGP, to understand the main scenario where we need to use BGP, you have to understand the customer type network. Types of customer network. Let me discuss some types of customer network here. Topic is types of customer. Okay. First type of customer network is single homed customer network. Second type of customer network is dual homed customer network. Third type of customer network is single multi homed customer network. And the fourth type is dual multi homed customer network. So we have four types of customer network here. In these four types of network, in some types of network we need to BGP and we don't need to use BGP. In some network we don't need to use BGP. But before understanding where we need to use BGP, you have to understand architecture of these all types of network. So let's discuss the architecture of these all types of network. First of all, I am going to discuss single home network. Let me copy it and let me paste it over here. Can anyone tell me how single home network look like? Guys, single home network means, let's say you have a small network of
one single
yes,
ISP.
one single ISP, or let's say for home purpose as well, you are
Single
designing a
broadband.
network.
Yes.
So that type of network is single home network. If I will design this type of network, so let's say I have one switch here. Let me design this topology here. I have one switch, and through this switch I have some computers are connected through this switch. Let's say computer 1, computer 2, computer 3 and computer 4, or let's say computer 3 only. Okay, let's say these are end user. Right here, these users are able to communicate with each other, but these users are not able to use internet. So I want that these users should be able to access internet. So what I will do, I will take connectivity from ISP. So I need what? One router. I need one router. I will purchase one router and I will connect ISP, my network, this switch to ISP through router. This is R1 and this is ISP. This is single home network. Single home network. We don't have any redundancy. If R1 will goes down, or if ISP1 will goes down, or the link between ISP and router will goes down, or maybe link between router 1 and switch will goes down, these user cannot access internet. There will be no any connectivity between users and internet. Yes or no? On this router you will configure what? NAT or PAT. After that these user can access internet.
No BGP required.
No BGP required here. BGP is not required. Here you will have one public IP address. Let's say 15.1.1.1. And here you will have one IP address is 15.1.1.2. On the ISP interface, only 15.1.1.1 IP address will be allowed. And this is how you can access internet, and this user can access internet. In this scenario, BGP is not required. Yes or no? If anyone is thinking that BGP is required over here, guys, please let me know. Anyone who is thinking that, yes, I need to configure BGP? Where you will configure BGP, brother? Yes or no? Here on router number 1, you will configure one default route only towards ISP. And then you will configure PAT. That's it. This is how we are using, we are designing the home network. Like right now I am teaching you right now how my computers are connected through internet. If my router will fail, then internet connectivity will goes down. Fine. Is it clear? Now let me discuss the second type of network, that is this one, dual home network. What will be the design, guys, here? Nirav?
No, sir, two ISP, I guess.
Two ISP? No, here also we will have one ISP only.
Okay.
Here also we will have one ISP, but we will have two link.
I mean, yeah, two link from single ISP.
Yes, two link from the single ISP. Let's say this is my ISP, and this time I will have some reliability. See how? I will have one router here, and this router is connected with switch, and the switch is connected with again the LAN user. Here we will have one switch, and through this switch we have some LAN user here. And here I have two link from the same ISP. I have two number of link. This is again ISP. This is your router 1, router, and this is your switch. This design is dual home customer network. In this scenario, let's say here IP address is again 15.1.1.1, 15.1.1.1. Here IP address is, let's say, 16.1.1.1. Here IP address is 15.1.1.2, and here IP address is 16.1.1.2. Here you will configure how many default route. Let's say this is serial. This is S0/0, and this is S0/1. Right?
Sir,
here IP address, yes.
Two default route with different AD values.
Yes, two default route with two different. That's why I told you that if your IGP protocol is clear, then you can understand BGP very easily. Here what we will do, here we will configure two default route with different AD value.
And PAT.
Okay, but your router will use only one default route. Let's say here I have configured default route 0.0.0, 0.0.0, and next of IP address is 15.1.1.1, and one default route 0.0.0, 0.0.0, and 16.1.1.1, and AD value is 10. Like this, I can configure the default route on this router. But your router will use how many default route?
Only one.
Okay, here suppose I have one LAN user. If this LAN user want to ping 8.8.8, it will forward traffic to switch, switch will forward traffic to router, router will forward traffic to traffic from which interface?
S00.
It will forward traffic from S0/0. If S0/0 will goes down, router 1 will forward traffic to S0/1.
S01.
Yes or no? At a time, router will use one path. Am I right? At a time, router will
Yes.
use one path.
Single path.
Either
Yes.
it will forward traffic from 0/0 or from 0/1. Can we achieve load balancing here?
Um,
You cannot achieve load balancing without BGP. But if you will configure BGP here, you can achieve what? Load balancing. You can share the traffic on both link. So do you think here you should configure BGP or not? Yes. Here I can configure BGP protocol to achieve load balancing. Without BGP, you cannot achieve load balancing here. You will see how we can achieve load balancing in this scenario. Don't worry. But first understand that where we need to implement BGP. Okay, guys. So in this scenario, I should use BGP protocol. Now let me discuss third scenario. Single multi-homed customer network. If I will talk about the design of this network, single multi-homed customer network. So yes, Nirav, can you tell me the design?
But this time
Here,
two different ISP will be there.
yes,
With single
we will have two
connectivity
different
each.
ISP.
With single connectivity each.
Because here problem is if my ISP 1 will goes down, then these LAN user cannot access internet.
Yes.
Still we have single ISP. So still we have problem in dual homed customer network. We cannot implement this type of network in good organization, in the bank, on the airport. We cannot design this type of network. Yes or no? So here we have third types of customer network, that is single multi-home network. We will have again one single router, and this time we will have one link from ISP1 and one link from ISP2. ISP1 and say ISP2 here. 2. This is my router, and again here I have switch, and through switch again we have LAN user. So in this scenario, see, still I have problem that if my router will goes down, then there will be no connectivity. But if ISP1 will goes down, no problem, I have one alternate ISP. So here also we can perform load balancing. Again, if you will configure default route, two default route, one towards ISP1 and one towards ISP2, router will use one at a time. So we cannot achieve load balancing. But again, if you want to achieve load balancing here, you should use BGP protocol. And now, okay, it is very clear that whenever network type is dual homed customer network, we should use BGP. Whenever network type is single multi-homed customer network, I should use BGP. And in third type of network, in this network, dual multi-homed customer network, also we should use BGP. If I will discuss about the architecture of this type of network, so now we will have again two or more ISP, ISP1, let's say ISP2, and we will have two different router, R1, R2, and then we will have maybe switch distribution layer, and this is connected like this, and through this switch my LAN user are connected. So in this scenario, definitely we will use BGP. ISP1, ISP2. In this network, you don't have any option. You have to use BGP R1, R2. Here you will configure what? In switching, you will understand virtual gateway, HSRP or VRRP. You will configure maybe HSRP protocol because you have two gateway. And here you will configure BGP routing protocol for the load balancing, for the load sharing, right? We will understand how we will configure BGP and how BGP will work in this scenario. So is it clear, guys, where in which scenario we need to use BGP? Because now I am not going to discuss anything else about the scenario where I need to use BGP. So if anyone have any confusion, please ask me.